The theater fell silent the moment a small Filipino boy stepped onto the stage, clutching the microphone with shaking hands. No one expected what came next. When the first soft notes of Elvis Presley's "Can't Help Falling in Love" filled the room, something extraordinary happened that no one, not even Simon Cowell, could stop. Before this moment ends, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us why music still has the power to change lives. The bright lights of the stage felt hotter than the Philippine sun, and 12-year-old Mateo Cruz could feel sweat gathering on his palms as he stood alone in the center of the world's biggest talent show stage. Behind him, a massive screen glowed with his name, while in front of him sat 4 judges whose opinions could change his life forever. Among them was Simon Cowell, famous for his brutal honesty and unbreakable composure. Mateo had watched this show on a tiny television in his family's cramped home in Cebu, never imagining he would one day stand here himself. Mateo's journey to this stage began far from luxury. He grew up in a small coastal village where houses were made of tin roofs and wooden walls, and electricity was something that disappeared more often than it stayed. His father was a fisherman who left before sunrise and returned long after dark, and his mother sold homemade snacks at the local market. Money was always tight, but music was free. Every Sunday, Mateo sang in the small church near their home, his voice echoing off the concrete walls while neighbors stopped to listen. Elvis Presley was not a name many kids in Mateo's village talked about, but his mother loved old songs. She played them on a scratched CD player that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. One night, during a heavy rainstorm, the power went out. To calm Mateo, who was scared of thunder, his mother began to sing softly. It was "Can't Help Falling in Love." Mateo listened carefully, then joined in. His voice was pure, gentle, and filled with emotion far beyond his years. His mother cried that night, realizing her son carried something special inside him. Despite his talent, Mateo's life was full of obstacles. School was difficult because he often missed classes to help his parents earn money. Some kids teased him for singing old songs instead of popular hits. Others told him dreaming of becoming a singer was useless when his family could barely afford food. Still, Mateo sang whenever he could, at family gatherings, on the beach at sunset, and quietly to himself when life felt overwhelming. Everything changed when a traveling talent scout visited Cebu to audition kids for an international show. Mateo almost didn't go. The audition was in the city, hours away, and the bus fare alone was more than his parents earned in a day. His father considered selling his fishing net, the tool that fed their family, just to give Mateo a chance. In the end, neighbors pooled together money, believing in the boy who had sung at their weddings and funerals. Mateo promised he would not waste their faith. At the audition, Mateo stood in line with hundreds of hopefuls. Some had professional training, others arrived with flashy outfits and confident smiles. Mateo wore a simple shirt and borrowed shoes. When it was his turn, the judges asked what he would sing. He answered softly, an Elvis song. A few eyebrows raised, but Mateo closed his eyes and sang. The room went quiet, then erupted in applause. That day, his life changed forever. Weeks later, Mateo boarded a plane for the first time in his life, flying across the ocean to perform on a stage he had only seen on TV. Backstage, he could hear the roar of the audience, each cheer sending waves of fear and excitement through his chest. A producer asked if he was nervous. Mateo nodded and said he was thinking of his parents watching from home, crowded around the small television with neighbors. He said he just wanted to make them proud. When Mateo walked onto the stage, the judges smiled politely, not yet knowing what was coming. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, ready to evaluate another hopeful singer. The host asked Mateo about his song choice. Mateo explained that "Can't Help Falling in Love" reminded him of his mother and the nights she sang to him when storms scared him. The audience responded with soft murmurs of empathy. The music began gently. Mateo's voice entered like a whisper, controlled yet emotional. Every word carried sincerity. The audience leaned forward. Simon's posture changed. His arms slowly uncrossed. As Mateo reached the chorus, his voice grew stronger, filling the theater with warmth and vulnerability. People in the crowd wiped tears from their eyes. One judge closed her eyes completely, overwhelmed. Halfway through the song, Mateo surprised everyone by shifting the melody slightly, adding a delicate Filipino musical touch. It was subtle, respectful, and beautiful. The judges exchanged looks. This was not just a child singing an old song. This was an artist telling a story through music. Then came the moment no one expected. As Mateo sang the final lines, his voice cracked, not from mistake, but from emotion. It made the performance even more real. The audience rose to their feet before the song even ended. When the last note faded, silence hung in the air for a second, then the theater exploded in applause. Simon Cowell stood up. His eyes were red. The cameras caught him wiping his face, visibly emotional. The crowd gasped. Simon spoke slowly, choosing his words carefully. He said he had heard this song thousands of times, but never like this. He said Mateo didn't just sing the song, he made everyone feel it. He admitted that moments like this were why the show existed. Another judge asked Mateo how he learned to sing with such emotion. Mateo replied simply that he sang from his heart and thought about his family. His answer made the audience applaud again. The host struggled to regain control of the room as chants of Mateo's name filled the theater. Just when everyone thought the moment couldn't get any bigger, Simon reached for the golden buzzer. Time seemed to slow down. Mateo's eyes widened in disbelief. When Simon pressed it, golden confetti rained from above. Mateo dropped to his knees, crying uncontrollably. He covered his face, overwhelmed by emotion. The judges rushed to the stage to hug him. Back in Cebu, Mateo's family screamed with joy. His mother collapsed onto a chair, crying and laughing at the same time. Neighbors poured into their home, celebrating like it was a national holiday. For a moment, all their struggles felt worth it. But the story didn't end there. With fame came pressure. Online critics questioned whether Mateo was too young, whether his performance was manipulated, whether he could live up to expectations. Mateo struggled with the sudden attention. He missed home. He missed singing by the ocean. There were nights when he cried himself to sleep, wondering if he belonged in this world. During rehearsals for the next round, Mateo lost his voice due to exhaustion and stress. Doctors warned him to rest, putting his future in the competition at risk. Producers debated whether he should continue. It was a turning point. Mateo considered quitting to protect his health and return home. Simon visited Mateo backstage one day. He told him that real artists face doubt and hardship, but what mattered was remembering why they started. He encouraged Mateo to listen to his heart, not the noise around him. That conversation changed everything. Mateo rested, recovered, and returned stronger. Each performance showed growth, maturity, and depth. He didn't just sing songs. He told stories of hope, love, and resilience. Viewers around the world connected with him, seeing their own struggles reflected in his voice. By the finale, Mateo stood on stage once more, no longer just a nervous boy, but a young artist with confidence and grace. Regardless of the final result, he had already won something greater. He had proven that talent knows no borders and that even the smallest voice can reach the biggest hearts. In interviews, Mateo always credited his family, his village, and his country. He said his dream was to build a music school back home so other kids like him could dream without fear. His humility made people love him even more. Simon later admitted that Mateo's audition was one of the most emotional moments of his career. He said it reminded him that music is not about perfection, but about truth. Mateo's story spread across social media, inspiring millions. Clips of his audition were shared everywhere, with comments from people saying it gave them hope, healed their hearts, and reminded them of the power of love. Today, Mateo continues to sing, not for fame, but for the joy it brings to others. Every time he performs, Can't Help Falling in Love, he remembers that stormy night, his mother's voice, and the journey that changed his life forever.